this 28 meter machine here, and the fault was quite interesting. It was making some noises when you run the motor, and I opened the clutch cover and to see what is happening here, and I want to show you just so quickly. Okay, so if you look on this clutch assembly, look at this rubber coupling. You see this torsion in it, and even I removed the coupling bolts. You see how it goes. It should be nice and straight line. Yeah, so if I spin slowly all the way around, you can see this torsion in it. Okay, and that clutch was making quite loud noises randomly, and I removed it. So if I spin it freely, it spins quite nicely. No sounds, nothing, no resistance, or you can spin it around and you can feel it. It's nothing holding it back or nothing's rattling inside. And when I disconnect that, I can see they're not coming back centered, so it's been there for a while. And what I noticed there is a key, the motor key, and that is actually moved forward. See, I'll try to show you. Yeah, you just can see that the motor key has moved, and what I'm going to try to do now is I'm going to try to get some light here. So I'm going to try to get this out and get that coupling replaced, and I think that's going to solve the problem. Okay, and the way I'm doing it now is I got those bolts out. This is 3 bolts, keeps this coupling engaged to the motor, so I got those bolts out. Then next thing was to remove the motor screws. So you see where the holes are there, so that's where the 4 screws underneath here, so to hold the motor in place. So I remove that, and then I remove the hydraulic pump. Okay, so remove the hydraulic pump is 2 bolts on each side, and then you can take the pump off. So that's where it is, that's my pump. And the next thing is going to be disconnect the cables on the motor. So now I have a good access here. I will remove those cables from the motor, and I should be able to pull the motor out together with this part of the coupling, and then that way I can replace the coupling key and then reassemble all together. And if you would need to change a clutch, then you would go the same way. So you remove the motor, and then you can get access to the rubber coupling and remove the clutch if it's needed. But in this case, I think it's just going to be the coupling. Just make them make it back to alignment, and then align it properly and see what's going to happen. So all the wires are disconnected, and I found some loose nut on it here. You see, look. And yeah, so we'll pull the motor out now, and then I'm going to try to deal with the coupling. But that's where I am now, ready to get this out. It's quite heavy, so if you're lifting out, just be careful, but shouldn't be too bad. So the motor is removed, and you can see where it was hitting right there. See the marks on the clutch? So I'm gonna just inspect the tray, make sure there's no cracks or anything, and then we deal with the motor. And there is a motor side, and you can see there was a heat build-up here with discoloration on the parts, and that just shifted forward, and it's creating a noise here and banging there on the end. So I will try to get this off and see if I can fit a new one on. Okay, so after great difficulty, this has been removed. You can see some marks of a bit of hammering here. The key stayed in, then came out, and now this is a new key in. The motor shaft is completely fine, no problems there. I'm gonna use I use the retaining Loctite on this. I think it's 641 retaining compound, and just to helps to keep that key in the place. And then this is a new one coming on, and the next step is going to be to assemble the motor back in, and that should be done pretty soon, I think. So that's a original grab screw, and you can see, and this one is being in a kit with the coupling. Is shorter, so I'm gonna use the longer one. That's the original one, so I'm gonna use the original one with a bit of Loctite in there so it doesn't come loose, and I use the 243 Loctite for that. So that's assembled, tighten up all the nuts here, and that's ready to go. So it's at the moment conveniently on the wheel, just have to shove it in there. So that's what I'm going to do now. Okay, so the motor is in, and I'm gonna bolt down the coupling to the motor. So I'm gonna use new bolts. Normally what I do, I put a bit of grease on a bolt, as you can see, just on the head. So when you're torquing this bolt up, it will not distort the coupling. Okay, so you want to tighten the bolt up, and you want the coupling to be as straight as possible. And that's what we're gonna do here. So I put all the 3 bolts in the coupling, and then I torque them up, and the torque setting is 85. Yeah, so it's 85 Newton meters. So now I'm gonna torque those bolts up. The motor is still loose. There is no bolt holding the motor down, but once I torque them up, I will put the motor bolts in place, and then I'm gonna torque the motor up. Okay, so that's assembled. The bolt is torqued up, and you can see they're pretty straight. So if you have this bit twisting when you're torquing it up, just put some grease on the bolts, and that should help with that. So I'm going to continue assembling the motor now. So the motor is in the place, and I'm just going to put the pump on and then spin it up and see what's happening. All back together now. So the cable's connected, the pump is back on. Just need a couple cable ties to tidy up, but most importantly, the clutch assembled, all spinning freely, no noises, and we'll just do the test run now and see what's happening. So machine is on now, and then let's go to motor info. Motor is running just fine. Sounds good. Nice and smooth. Yeah, it looks good, so I think it's gonna be fine.